Well, all right, here we are once again at Pastor B's kitchen table. I thank you so much for setting aside this Friday to join us. As you know, this is always the place where we chop it up and break it down and put it back together again. And I got a very special guest today with a very, very special topic you probably didn't even see coming, but we sure do need to talk about it. I have brother Orlando White. Orlando, will you say hello to the kitchen table crew, please?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me at the table, Pastor. I really appreciate it. So hopefully you can cook up some of them good old greens and we can go to work today.
Amen. Amen. Orlando, will you just tell us, you got a side business. You're an entrepreneur. What is your side business?
So what I do is I teach license to carry courses throughout the state of Texas. And I've been doing that since 2009, and I'm certified through the Texas DPS to teach courses to people who are above the age of 18 if they're in the military. Otherwise, they have to be at least 21 years or older, and just to give them the basic fundamentals of carrying licensed guns, essentially. I've been doing this since 2009, and I've throughout the state of Texas, and fortunately, I've been able to come into your church and teach some of the members of your congregation as well. And it's just something fun. I really enjoy being able to just first talk to people about their interests, and then also bring those who they didn't know that they were interested, and bring them to the gun range, or those who are also afraid, get them out to the gun range so that they could, experience some of the funness and freeness of just shooting and, being able to protect themselves and protect others.
Wow. See, that's why I wanted to have you on here, because people didn't probably even see this coming. I'm not going to hold it against you that you were in Texas Southern University. I'm going to pray of you, man, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. It's all good. It's still HBCU.
Absolutely.
But Orlando, I want to ask you, how did you get into this? How did you become this gun guru?
Well, born and raised in Vallejo, California, and there guns are essentially a no-no. So moved to Texas, and when I moved here, all my friends were shooting and having a good time. Mm-hmm. So I had this one friend specifically in grad school. He was like, "Hey man, let's go shooting one of these days." So he took me shooting, taught me how to shoot, and it bit me. And yeah, I haven't been able to shake that bug ever since. I've been, that's initially how I kind of got involved in it. And then this same person, he was also a licensed to carry instructor. Mm-hmm. So he was like, "Hey, so you're shooting, how about, you get your license to carry?" So I did that, and I found myself out just shooting too much. Mm-hmm. He was like, "Well, why don't you think about, it seems like this is a passion. Why don't you think about sharing your passion with others and get paid to shoot?" So that was the main reason why I got into it, was because, shooting is an expensive habit, and I had to feed that habit. Yeah. And then I found actually teaching it, the best part of, I'm a person, I love being around people. Mm-hmm. And I love having these conversations that go 1,000 different directions. So that's what has kept me into it. And now I'm not out there marketing or anything. I only do it for friends and family. Mm-hmm. And friends of friends. So it's all strictly word of mouth.
Okay, strictly word of mouth. Now, prior to us coming live, you told me, based on your research, that in January of this year, what did you tell me that number was for gun sales again?
4.1 million people. It was up 40% year over year from 2020.
So 4.1 million people that purchased guns. So that's nationally.
That's national, yes.
So what we can say that people are really arming themselves.
Absolutely. And part of arming yourself is knowing how to use it and knowing how to store it. And those are some concepts that we go over in the course. But those are two critical pieces, and also keeping those guns out of the hands of those who shouldn't have access to it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so 4.1 million people, and it's going to continue to grow. Anytime that there's fear or there's a mass shooting, mm-hmm. So just like we just experienced here, I think in Colorado, right, we had a mass shooting, and we had another mass shooting somewhere else. Whenever those things happen, those numbers increase even more, because people think that politicians want to take away our guns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we can expect more than 4.1 million. I'm just assuming in the month of March.
Yeah. I've had this discussion with a lot of people about guns. And the one thing I say is that there's been this narrative that it's only one option. And they assume that it's confiscation. So you're right, people go and buy a lot of guns. But yet somewhere in that interim is not confiscation, but gun laws, gun regulations. And I think that's the main thing, is not the confiscation, but to regulate these firearms and things like that. And that's a piece that's not talked about a lot of times, because I know that doesn't give you a whole lot of political clout or get you reelected. But fear does. The fear that, hey, they're coming to get us and get our guns, so go buy more. But Leonard, I want to talk to you because, first of all, you're a brother of African descent, and there's not a lot of us I've seen doing what you do. And the second part about it is that what exactly is having a license to carry? What does that even mean? I mean, we grew up, some of us are from the city, some from the country, and grandfather, fathers, they just had guns lying around. So what's different about what you're talking about?
So I'm gonna give you a dirty little secret that not many instructors are gonna tell you. Okay. But you don't need a license to have a gun in Texas. Okay. The purpose of getting a license to carry is so that you can carry your gun on you, on your body, in a purse, in a backpack, wherever you want to carry. That's the main purpose of getting a license to carry. So with the state of Texas, between 32 and 35 other states recognize our license to carry. So the benefit of having it is being able to also travel around the nation in certain states where their laws are more friendly to license to carry holders. Okay. We can protect ourselves and protect our family in those states or in those cities. So it's mainly, and we're not expected to be police officers when we're carrying our guns. It's mainly just to protect ourselves.
Okay. And so that's what you're saying. So it allows you to carry it outside your home.
Yes.
What about your automobiles? Can you have a gun and just put it in your automobile?
Yes, you can. You don't need a license to have a gun in your car. Okay. However, you got to make sure that you're not under the influence of any drugs or alcohol. You're not a member of a street gang, and you don't have your gun visible. Okay. So yes, you can keep it in your car. They presume that you're traveling if it's in your car. But that's a way for you to, once again, protect yourself and protect your family. And I like to always tell people, if you're carrying a gun, whether it's in your car, whether it's on your body, you always want to, if you ever stopped or have a conversation with a police officer and they ask and you have one on you, go ahead and share with them that you have it on you. As long as you're following the law, you're not going to have any issues.
Okay. Now, Orlando, what about the people who are watching and they've just been afraid of guns all their lives? And you said earlier about you enjoy talking to those. So what do you tell the person watching me now and they're just afraid of them?
So come to the range with me. Well, I'm not even going to just say me, but someone who's certified to teach. Right. Don't go with, your homeboy down the street that says he knows everything about guns. Go someone who's certified to teach you so that they can teach you the basics. Okay. And I guarantee you, within 10 shots, if you have someone that you're comfortable with, within 10 shots, you're going to feel much better than you were going into it. I've only had two people, and I've taught thousands of people. I've only had two people that just backed out, that they couldn't do it. They were so afraid. Mm-hmm. I've taught people as young as 7 years old and as old as 90 years old. Mm-hmm. People who've lived and breathed, and even police officers. I taught police officers in these courses, and I've taught people who they've never touched a gun. And the common piece is, it's just going to take you a few shots to get comfortable. I mean, you think about a gun, and I like to use the analogy of a car. Mm-hmm. When we first started driving cars, we were afraid. We were definitely afraid. We were like this. Right. We tensed up. And after, a couple sessions of us driving, we've gotten a lot more comfortable. That same thing happens with guns. We're going to tense up the first time we shoot. And those who are deathly afraid of guns, which I've seen it before, and I've also seen where these people who are deathly afraid of guns, they've been texting me and calling me every week saying, hey, man, I bought a new gun. And now they have 10, 15, 20 guns. When I say deathly afraid, I'm talking about even crying beforehand. So it's just a matter of getting with someone who knows how to teach you and can give you some time to be careful.
Yeah.
I mean, to give you some time to get comfortable. Now, when you come to a license to carry course, the expectation is that you know how to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Most instructors are going to expect you to know how to shoot. I'm a little different. In that vein, I try to give you the basics. So you don't necessarily know how to shoot when you come to me. I'll give you the basics, and I'm going to give you at least 5 to 10 shots to get comfortable. Yeah. We have to follow a standardized course of fire that's put out by the DPS, which will stick within that course of fire, but within 5 to 10 shots, that person who's afraid should be comfortable.
Okay. What's the basics? What are some of the tenets if someone decided to go through one of these classes? What could they expect?
So we're going to talk about multiple topics.
Okay.
Of course, gun safety, and that goes into how to store it. Right. The laws related to carrying firearms. We're going to talk about nonviolent dispute resolution. So the last resort should be you having to use a firearm. And then the consequences of actually using a firearm, those are some things that we talk about. And we go through the basics of you actually, from someone handing you a gun all the way through loading it to actually you shooting it, and just breaking it down in each stage so that you can learn, you can feel comfortable enough to, after we're done with our session, you may decide, okay, tomorrow I want to go shoot, and you're going to be comfortable enough to know, okay, I know how to load my gun, I know how to make sure that it's either loaded or not loaded, and I know how to shoot it. I may not be perfect, but just like if I was driving a car, the more that I drive, I'm going to get so much better at shooting.
Yeah. I like to say in the very beginning that a gun is the last resort. That's important. So it's not something for us to go around and floss like we're Rambo or somebody like that, what you're saying. That's important. The temperament of why you want to purchase a gun is so important. And so you're saying the basics of like how to handle it, how to receive it, how to give it, also storing it. Can you elaborate a little bit about storing? Because let's say if you grew up around family members that had guns, they just put it on top of the refrigerator. So what do you mean by storing it?
So getting you some type of safe to where people who shouldn't have access to it don't have access to it. Excuse me. So having a safe, and one of the things to consider is, do you want to have your gun available? Let's say in your house, you want to have your availables to where you can pick it up and potentially use it if someone breaks in, or do you want to have it in a safe to where it stops maybe one of your kids or grandkids or cousin or friend from accidentally finding your gun and then shooting your gun? There are so many consequences. Let's say if you're not properly storing your guns in your house, and you have a nephew or a niece or a friend of a friend whose daughter who kids are coming over, and we all growing up, we've all found stuff in our houses that we probably shouldn't have found.
Yeah.
And so we may not have any kids in our house, but just this one day, just so happened with my friend JoJo, he brought his son over. Well, JoJo could be playing up in one of my rooms, and boom, there's a gun in there.
Yeah.
If JoJo's son accidentally shoots himself, I'm going to be held liable because I did not keep that gun in a place where someone who shouldn't have authorization to access it, they actually accessed it. So whether you have kids or not, you want to make sure that you are keeping it safe. And I like to tell people, as far as, safety and storage, is don't keep your guns a secret. And, Pastor, you grew up around guns and you knew what they could do, right? It was because it wasn't a secret. So you knew about it. It's the kids that don't know about these guns. A lot of these kids are the ones who accidentally shoot themselves because someone was improperly storing their weapon. Yeah. But you as a kid, you knew not to touch kids without your mom and dad around, or touch guns without your mom and dad around.
Wow. That's now one of the questions that always come my way when I'm talking to someone about a gun or someone's inquiring about a gun is the issue about if you, God forbid, and would never get in this situation, you have to shoot someone regarding your house. What is the law regarding shooting someone at your home?
So there's always a misconception, and you hear a lot of people say this. I have to get this one out. Oh, if you shoot someone, pull them into the house.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. That's right.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
If you shoot someone, call 911 immediately. And my hope is that you've practiced enough that whatever target you're shooting at, that you're able to hit that target. Because, and I mentioned this earlier, there's so many consequences of what could happen if you shoot your gun. So you shoot your gun, you miss that person, you're going to be in trouble. But either way, if you shoot your gun and someone's breaking into your house, your goal is to use your gun as a last resort. And it's only because you're absolutely in fear of your life. There is no other reason for you to use your gun unless you're absolutely in fear of your life. And if you shoot someone, what may end up happening is, what it will happen is the police will come, and you want to do your best bet to get you an attorney, and have your conversation with the attorney before you ultimately share your side of the story with the police, because you don't ever want to put yourself in a position where you're not stating necessary facts, and then you can end up in prison for shooting someone.
Wow. So you need to really, really think this thing through. Yeah. Hey, one other question, brother. Well, not only one more, but you said something earlier about, and this is direct toward those who have license. Some watching now, they have a license. You said that we're not the police. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for me, please?
Yep. So the Texas law allows us to protect third parties. Mm-hmm. It allows us to protect third parties' property. But I like to tell people, because of the consequences that could come from you using a firearm, it's best to be an excellent witness. If you can, call the police and get the police involved. We don't get a license with a view to stop or prevent crime. Mm-hmm. We have our license and we're carrying our gun to protect ourselves and potentially protect others. So we've seen situations like, George Zimmerman and, other situations, even here in Houston, if the viewers want to Google it, but I'm sure y'all remember this in Pasadena, Texas. It happened in about 2009, where a guy by the name of Joe Horn shot two people who were breaking into his neighbor's house. And I keep on saying consequences, because if you shoot someone, you're going to have to get an attorney. And we know that attorneys are expensive. More than likely, you're possibly going to be referred to a grand jury. Well, you need an attorney for that. Mm-hmm. And you could potentially be sued for shooting someone, even if they're breaking into your house. Now, granted, just because they sue you doesn't mean that you're going to lose. However, you're still going to want an attorney if you're ever sued in that situation. So we don't want to walk around with the complex that we are here to prevent crime, because there's so many consequences. Right. And we can also expose ourselves to potential, the person that we may be pulling our gun out to, they may have a gun too. And we don't know what situation they're in and why they're behaving the way that they are. Who knows? Right.
Now, we've been talking a lot about carrying your gun, your firearm, and concealed weapons. Can you speak a little bit about rifles, assault rifles? Because we see people now who are packing assault rifles and all that.
Mm-hmm. So you do not need a license in the state of Texas to carry a shotgun, which is a rifle, or a rifle. Mm-hmm. You don't need a license. You could carry a rifle or a shotgun out walking down the street, and you're totally legal as long as you're over the age of 18. This license does not have anything to do with rifles. Okay. So if you're going to get a rifle, it's the same gun safety that you need with a pistol. And making sure that you store it properly. Right. So, for the purposes of license to carry, we don't have anything to do with rifles. But it's always good to have one, especially if you like just target shooting. I don't think you're going to walk down the street. I would imagine most of us, who are paying attention to this call, we're not going to walk it down the street to, get attention with our rifles. But that's something that you wanted to do, you can.
Yeah. But I say that's once again thinking through consequences. That wouldn't be the wisest thing to do.
That would not be I definitely wouldn't do it.
Yeah, especially us. That wouldn't be wise to walk around with your assault rifle strapped across your chest. Yeah, that may bring some unwanted attention. That is so true. So there's some man, some woman watching right now, and they're asking the question. Okay, I'm a little bit interested. What kind of gun should I purchase?
I always tell people what's most comfortable for you, and what's your purpose. Are you planning to conceal it and walk around? Are you planning to open carry? Which, if you open carry, you need a license. Are you just planning to leave it in your house? Is it a gun that you're able to manipulate? Is it easy to clean? So those are some factors that you want to think about. But the most important thing is it comfortable in your hands. Some people have large hands. A small gun is not that comfortable, and vice versa. A small hand person, they're not going to want a full-size firearm. So I always encourage people to go to a gun range and go to a gun show, which they'll have a variety of weapons or firearms, and just try in your hands multiple guns, and then just have a conversation with the person who's trying to sell it. You have some people that are going to say, I'm only going to carry around a 45, or I'm only going to carry around a 22 or 9mm. It doesn't matter, because it's all about you practicing and shot placement. So the number one thing is, how comfortable is it in your hands?
Okay. That's important. Over your years of doing this, you got a ton of experience. What has been your greatest challenges in being in a business like this?
Because this is not my day-to-day job, and I only do it, to help people, I don't really face major challenges other than I don't have my own gun range to where I'm able to go to the gun range anytime, or have a class, go to a gun range. So I'm dependent on others in the community to where we can use their gun ranges. I've had good experiences at some gun ranges. I've had bad experiences at other gun ranges. And for the most part, I would say 95% of the time it's been good experiences, but the challenge is mostly around trying to find that time at a gun range. I've been in a situation where I've had to wait 2 hours for me to get my students on the gun line, on the line to actually shoot. So I would say that's actually the biggest challenge. But just being in this business, it's really rewarding, because you're potentially helping people who, i.e., they may be afraid of guns, and you're turning around that fear, or you're giving them an opportunity to protect themselves, or even feed themselves if they ever if they're going out hunting and shooting with rifles or handguns.
Have you ever had any students who just would not comply?
I've had one, and I did not kick him out the class, but I did get very forceful. And I had one of my really good friends who went to California, and I taught this person to shoot. And this person, so she saw a different side of Orlando.
Okay.
And it's because at the end of the day, she needs to make sure that she got back to her family, and I need to make sure I get back to my family.
Yeah.
And if someone's not listening, then I have to be firm.
Yeah.
And even that, I've heard stories of instructors pulling guns on their students because their students pull the gun, face them with the gun.
Wow.
So there are things, that I do, throughout the course of our course. So it's a 4.5 hour conversation followed by an hour to 2 hours at the gun range. But throughout these conversations, I'm able to assess people. Okay, is this person someone that I'm feeling comfortable that I know if I take them to the range, I'll still be able to go see my wife. I'll still be able to go see my 3 kids after the course. And if not, I'll give them their money back, and they can't come to the course with me. They can't come to the gun range with me. So safety is number one.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's why I wanted to hear from you, because I think these basic principles, not just go out and just buy a gun off the market, or just some gun you saw someone selling on the street corner, but there's a protocol, there's a safety, there's a way to handle yourself, prepare yourself. And I appreciate your patience and your compassion with people to really get them to that point, because we come from different backgrounds related to this. And as you can see, that we're in an age now with there's so much gun activity and so many laws and so many frustrations going on. But we're not to use this to be antagonistic. We're not to use this to be the police. We're not to use this to go around and pack in public, and just so we can say, "Hey, look at me." I think those are the things that we need to hear. So, what's the future for you in this? Where do you go next?
Well, every couple of years we have to recertify with the DPS. So I think this year is my year. So I'll work on my recertification. Probably have to go shoot some more. And then it's just helping people. It's just exposing people that look like you, people that look like me, to guns. We have a lot of us who have guns, and we've had and not many of us have licenses. Yeah. There's a breakdown on the Texas DPS site on every year the ethnicity of the people who are licensed, and I probably should have checked it before we came here, but it's really minimal for us. So now, granted, I'll teach a course to anybody as long as I feel that they're going to be safe and they're not trying to go out there to be a serial killer. Right. But so next for me is just continuing to get people interested, and hopefully that those people that I'm getting interested, that they're getting others interested, and they're teaching their kids, and because this is actually, it could be a sport. Yeah. Now, most of us, I would say 99% of the people that are legally carrying guns, they'll probably never pull out their gun. And my hope and my prayer is that anyone who goes through any of my classes, that they never have to use a gun, but I want to make sure that they're equipped. So I'll continue to do what I'm doing, and just sharing the good news and sharing how to shoot.
Yeah. So Orlando, someone who wants to contact you, how do they get in contact with you?
Yes, so you can my cell phone number, and I'm not sure how you're going to post this, but you can actually put my email, my cell phone number down in the show notes, and they can reach out to me that way.
Okay.
But I'll read out my cell phone number, and it's 832 230 7602. You just call me if you have a question. Like I said, this is not my day-to-day job, but if I miss a call, I will eventually call you back.
Man. Orlando, well, my goodness. So I'm gonna give you the last word. There are people who are watching and they want to hear a final word. I call you the actual gun guru. So what would you say to the audience on your way out? What would you want to leave them with?
I will say this: gun safety is number one. Storage is just as important. But for those of you who may be scared or afraid, just try it. I mean, you've had to learn how to drive and try driving. It's similar to that. And once you begin shooting, you'll find that it can be fun. So just try it, and make sure you get with someone who knows or have an idea of what they're talking about. And the only way for a gun to shoot is for you to have your trigger finger on the trigger. The gun will not shoot without this finger. So I'm going to leave everyone with that. And when you're out there practicing, make sure the only time that you have your finger on the trigger is when you're actually about to shoot. So I'll leave everyone with that.
Amen. Well, there it is, Kitchen Table. You've heard it. I brought someone today you didn't expect to talk about guns. They said in our community, we certainly have guns, but to be licensed to go through the instructive time is something that we're kind of lagging behind on. That's why I want you to hear it. Tell your family member, tell your cousin, tell your uncle who has 35 squirrel guns. Let them know exactly what you learned here today at the kitchen table. And contact Orlando White. I call him the actual gun guru, because he can certainly guide you through guns in a safe way. So may God bless you. May God keep you. And I'll see you next week right here at the kitchen table.